Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coast Football Weekly. Today we're joined by Gosford's own. He's the current Central Coast Mariners goalkeeper, a former A-League champion, a Socceroo, and the man behind one of the most iconic moments in Australian football history. Welcome to the pod, Andrew Redmayne.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, what a weekend it was for you last week. Obviously, Mariners had their awards day. You got Supporters Player of the Year, Players Player, Coaches Award, and then obviously the Mariners medal. What was it like receiving those honours, obviously voted on by your peers, by your fans, and by the coaches?
Yeah, humbling, I guess. A bit surreal. It's not something that I kind of play the game for. I enjoy playing the team sport, and I think if you take that in tow, I'd trade them all away for a spot in the final this weekend. That's for sure. But yeah, it's humbling. But at the same time, it's I'd much prefer one of the young boys to kind of win all that and then go on and do big things in their career as well.
For those who don't know, you are Gosford born. You are a Central Coast local. When did football start for you on the Central Coast?
Under sixes.
Yep.
Wyoming Shopping Centre. The story goes, Mum was going shopping. Walking through Wyoming shops, there was a Gosford Dragons registration table.
Yep.
And she looked at me, said, do I want to play football? I said, yeah, why not? And yeah, Gosford City Dragons was the club.
And then when did the goalkeeper come apart? At that age, did they have goalies back then, or?
Yeah, they did.
They did.
I'm not sure under sixes if I was that involved.
Yeah.
Under nines, I kind of did half a game in, half a game out.
Right. Then
there was a school holiday clinic attended by Frank Farina. I've got a photo here. The first day they asked, we've got a goalkeeping component. Is there any players that want to join in that? I put my hand up. Didn't have any gloves or anything. And then, yeah, Mum picked me up that evening. I said, Mum, we need to stop and get a pair of gloves. I love it. Yeah. And from then on, I've been in goals ever since.
Do you remember much from playing on the Central Coast at that age?
Not so much Dragons. I remember a few gala days down in Gavelonk Oval, things like that. But more the memories are kind of here at Plume Park, out at Mingara, playing for them, and they're kind of I guess the later kind of the more I grew up, the more I remembered.
Yeah. So where did that next step come from? Because I think you went to the AIS.
Yeah, so I went Gosford City Dragons, then Mingara Lakers,
Yeah.
and then came over to Central Coast Coasties. From there, I went NSWIS, AIS, and then I was fortunate enough to be on a contract with Mariners while I was at AIS, which was added bonus. I had a few games on the bench when kind of Trotty was out and those kind of things. So,
Yeah, I played mainly with Trotty. He's a good guy.
Great guy.
NSWIS is that where the Arsenal trial come about?
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a tour of England. Played Arsenal. Boys did really well that day. It was a 2-0 win.
Standout performance from you, I heard.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. It's, again, team performance. And, they footed the bill for myself and Mum to fly over for 3 weeks, I think it was. And, yeah, it was a surreal experience.
Yeah. What year was that?
04, Highbury, last year at Highbury.
Okay. So, yeah, just coming off the Invincibles that year. Wow.
Yep.
Were you involved with, obviously, the senior squad at that?
No, I never trained with the senior squad. I had a couple with Rezzies. It was surreal. Just interacting with some of the players there and whatnot. It was, absolutely surreal.
Are you an Arsenal fan to this day? I see the keychain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arsenal fan.
Were you an Arsenal fan before?
Touch wood.
Oh, no.
I was probably more of a United fan.
Yeah.
I had a few United kids. Obviously, Bosnich probably played a part in that as well. But, I think from that day, the hospitality they showed myself and my mum was surreal and just sold the dream.
Been a gunner ever since.
Absolutely.
It was inherited in me. My dad's from South London, but his old man was a crazy Arsenal supporter, so I didn't really have a choice growing up. So, touch on wood that with 2 games to go in the league and then 3 games to go for the season, we can bring some silverware finally.
Fingers crossed.
Signing your first contract for the Mariners, what age did that happen?
17. It was contracts have changed a bit in the A-League now. It's a lot more developed, but it was kind of like a what would be now a scholarship or a train-on kind of player. Surreal, but at the same time, it still didn't click that could be my profession.
Yep.
It wasn't until I moved up to Brisbane where it kind of hit home for myself, but also my family, especially my dad, who's very kind of academic in his reasoning and thinking. He made sure I was pursuing something outside of football, and
something to fall back on.
It wasn't until I moved up to Brisbane where he was like, "Yeah, right, put your foot down and make something of that."
What was it like walking to the Mariners environment at that age?
I was daunting.
Yeah.
There was some big names, some big characters, big figures in that change room.
Yeah.
People that I kind of, I guess, looked up to in a way. The back end of the NSL, but also just big characters, I guess. Spencer, Hutchinson, O'Grady, Kwasnick, Heffernan. I mean, the list goes on. You could name everyone in that squad.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite iconic names.
You made your first debut after Boz got injured.
Yep.
What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it vividly. We played an MYL curtain raiser beforehand, so I was on pitch that day for almost over 5 hours. So I'd played that, helped warm Bozza up, and I needed a bit of a freshen up, so I had a quick shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was out on the bench. I won't name names, but there was a 6-inch sandwich I had on the bench, and I was probably halfway through that, and I was sitting next to Paul O'Grady at the time, and he taps me on the knee, and then I heard Laurie yell out, "You're on!" And Bozza had pinged his hammy, and I was on.
What was it like working under Boz or with Boz, with someone of his pedigree?
Yeah, it was interesting times. He certainly had a lot of knowledge to impose. I'm not sure if he's kind of teaching background or the ways he got across, but if you sat down and picked his brain, it was phenomenal. He's played at the highest level. He's someone in Australian football that we should tap into more.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite surreal in that regard to be working with someone who's played at the highest level.
And before leaving in 2010, you only had made 3 appearances, I think it was. As a youngster, how did you take that? Were you sort of frustrated? Were you just happy to be there learning, or was it sort of a difficult time in your career?
No, like I said, I mean, before I made that move, it was more just having fun with my mates.
Yeah.
That's the only way I saw it. Having a kick around, I never really saw it as a gun-ho profession. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, not sure.
Yeah.
So no, I wasn't peeved that I'd only made a few appearances. Obviously, competitive by nature, so I'd love to challenge myself, and that's probably how I saw the move come about. Is I was a bit static in my environment and wanted a bigger challenge.
And what do you remember from your time at Brisbane?
Oh, just success.
Yeah.
We had that run of 36 games, undefeated, 2 championships, a premiership under arguably Australia's greatest ever coach in Postecoglou, which was a fantastic learning experience as well, yeah.
And what was it like for you, being a Central Coast local, sitting on the sideline for that penalty shootout with the Mariners and the Raw?
Surreal.
Yeah.
At the same time, a little bit heartbreaking for them. But I think that whole game, just wild.
Yeah.
The stadium probably cleared out by half at halftime in extra time, being 2 goals down, and you just kind of get caught up in the game, I guess. So I didn't have too many reservations at the time for the Central Coast, but I know reflecting upon it and talking about the game to some of those kind of older stewards of the game, you kind of get a few choice words thrown at you.
And then your next move to Melbourne Heart at the time, Melbourne City known now. How was this part of your career? How important was it?
Yeah, I think it was instrumental in a way. I've had a lot of time working with, or underneath at this point, with some great mentors, John Crawley, Danny Vukovic, Michael Thea up at Brisbane, and then kind of went under Clint Bolton's wing, another, I guess, pioneer of goalkeeping in Australia in a way. The way he went about it, the professionalism he had was, I guess, super enlightening in a way. But he also just took me under his wing. I remember our first session up on a different training pitch. He said, "I really like your Redders, but I think you need to work on X, Y, Z, and if you come with me, I'll help you." So, it was quite cool having that coming from someone that I'd looked up to as well.
And how was it moving from obviously Mariners to up to Brisbane, then to Melbourne? How did you find that personally?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm a guy. Well, at that time, I enjoyed quietness. I enjoyed a bit of solitude. So traveling, moving on my own was I enjoyed it. New challenge, new city.
And were there still times during this part of your career where you sort of doubted if you could be a number one goalkeeper in a sense?
It probably hadn't set in at that time. That probably came later. But at this point in my career, I was just enjoying working hard, enjoying testing myself, and just working with good people and good mates. That change room at Melbourne City was, we had some cracker blokes in there that I really got along with, the likes of Jason Hoffman and Jeremy Walker, Matt Thompson, just real solid guys that I enjoyed being around every day.
Culture was always good at these clubs.
Culture was always great. I mean, the results weren't there, but the culture in the change room was phenomenal.
Even speaking of Laurie, and you worked under Laurie, that's one of the things even him and Simo said, that whenever you go into a changing room and the culture's there, it just makes everything so much more enjoyable, right? Even if it is going through a hard time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, Sydney hits the nail on the head. I mean, we had great success at Sydney when I was there, and over 7 years, and kind of Arnie set that culture, and then Bimby inherited and kept driving. It was. I mean, I think Arnie said it in the pub. It's a no dickhead policy, which I don't know if that's appropriate language for this pod, but it rang true. There was everyone got along, everyone was good mates, and there was no
everyone there for the right reasons.
Absolutely, yeah.
Before signing for Sydney, you were at the Wanderers, but were you worried about going from Wanderers to Sydney with how obviously the Wanderers, it's sort of culturally how they take that?
Not necessarily. I think that's kind of where I hit my sticking point mentally. I saw moving from Sydney as a way of extending my university, I guess, in a way. Yeah. I had a 6 months to run on my contract at Wanderers, and Sydney were offering 18 months. So I thought there's more time to take more uni off and then do that while having a paycheck, I guess. So it was a bit of a no-brainer in terms of that regard, but it wasn't a footballing decision.
And your time at Sydney was very successful. Was it the culture? Obviously the players, was it just everything? Like what made that so special?
Everything, yeah. The players, the culture, the coaching staff. It was, I mean, you look at the coaching staff. You had Arnie, Steve Corica was assistant, who's now, I think this will be his fourth grand final this weekend. Then you had Terry McFlynn under that, who's, again, a legend of Sydney FC and the A-League. Dougie Cause was analysis, who went on to head analysis for Socceroos, and John Crawley, who's goes without saying. And then you just got the players as well. That team, everyone was basically an international player. It was incredible to be a part of, yeah.
Is there a premiership or a championship that stands out the most to you during that time?
I think they're all special. Probably the Perth championship for reasons I probably don't need to go into, and the COVID one I thought was really special as well. Kind of being locked away and almost a bit forgotten. There's a few personal stories from other boys in the team, leaving families behind, and the sacrifices that they put in. So yeah, that was probably a special one as well.
Yeah, very rewarding.
Yeah.
During this time, you got your first Socceroos call up. What did that moment mean to you?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it by a long shot. Again, I don't think Socceroos is something you should work towards or kind of set out to do. I see it as a reward for doing things well at your club and consistently performing. So,
Do you remember where you were when you got the phone call?
it was Terry McFlynn that handed me a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I was a bit blown away. Called Mum straight away, and it was quite surreal. And then it was a camp in South Korea, so we had an extended camp, and then had a friendly against South Korea, and off the back of the Asian Cup, a lot of the foreign boys, the overseas boys weren't joining that camp. Matty Ryan and Vuka were having a rest in that window, and then Mitch Langrat called up sick. So it was just Lawrence Thomas from memory. It was just me and him in the camp from memory.
What was it like walking into a Socceroos camp for your first time?
Daunting, but at the same time, it was predominantly A-League based players. So I think a lot of familiar faces, and coming off the back of that grand final win in Perth, you were kind of buoyed with confidence. But also we had Josh Belante, Ryan Grant, and Brendan O'Neill in that camp as well. So
Makes it easier.
Having three others in your squad, yeah.
Now I've got to talk about that moment, getting the Socceroos to the World Cup in 2022. Was that always the plan to bring you on if we went to penalties? Did you know about that prior to, or was that something that maybe hit at the moment, like, let's go warm up?
No, that seed was planted probably 8 weeks out from the moment. I was talking to Crawley on the phone, who's the goalkeeper coach, and we had probably a 5-minute phone call. I can't remember what it was about. And then right at the end, he dropped and basically get ready to save a pen, and hung up.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to respond. And what did he say? And then he kept kind of dropping little things that alluded to that. And then getting into camp, he spelled it all out for me. This is the plan. And I often did things one-on-one with him, whether it be off the pitch or on the pitch, little technical things or video analysis or those kind of things. And it was only a handful of staff members that knew about it, myself, and I obviously had to tell my mum. And then in that camp, it was quite a intense camp as well, and I felt like I was sitting on a massive secret. So
So the players didn't know either.
Players didn't know, but I'd told Joel King.
Yeah.
Obviously another Sydney FC boy. He was clued in on as well, and it was the first one to click on to the plan was Trent Sainsbury. Halftime in games, we just played a bit of Sheva and a few runs, But Vuka was actually doing some catching and diving with me, and I sat back on the bench. I had Vuka on one side, Sains on the other, and Sains leant across and said, "Mate, you're coming off the pens, aren't you?" Because that wasn't normal. So he was the first one to switch on. Obviously, apart from Vuka, but Matty didn't know, and none of the other boys knew as well. So,
and as that same game went longer into extra time, what was going through your mind as you sort of gearing up on getting ready to go on? This was going to probably be a possibility.
Just fully focused, like I alluded to. That camp just went through the roof. The way the boys were working, the camaraderie, the level of training, everything like that. It was like nothing I'd ever been a part of before, and it was quite surreal. So I never thought of anything other than just executing my job, which was in hindsight pretty cool.
And you see it a lot these days of in a shootout, typically over in Europe or internationally, that goalkeepers are usually given like a cheat sheet of the opposition team and where they like to take the penalties. Yep. Did you have any of that going on to the pitch? Did you sort of have it in your mind? Yeah,
we alluded to the fact that because we're playing a South American opponent, they're just going to do everything they can. So if a cheat sheet was found, it'd get chucked away, or destroyed. So we went with a tried and tested method that Crawley and I had used in the Perth grand final. So it was discussed, but we went with a alternate method that couldn't be kind of hijacked, I guess.
And the moment itself, once you make that save, it's one of the most purest reactions on your face as you wait for your teammates to surround you. What's going through your mind after you save that penalty?
Yeah, I was kind of just waiting to hear the final whistle because the ref had never seen anything like the kind of dancing.
Yeah.
And before every penalty, he said, "Look, because you do what you do, we have to get it checked from VAR and that kind of thing." So I'd made the save, and I was more just waiting to hear the final whistle, but I never did.
Yeah.
I was already swamped by the boys,
yeah.
and thankfully it got all cleared. But I think that was a face that, ecstasy, but also waiting. And it was a face that on FaceTime I'd often get a reaction from my through a 1-year-old daughter at the time on FaceTime.
Yeah. And what's that moment like when you see it back on a replay these days? Does it all come back to you?
Yeah, I still get goosebumps. It really makes your hair stand up, and it's still surreal.
You think back previous years, you obviously got the Aloisi moment from a penalty shootout as well. Now yours. Do you think that save, in a sense, sort of changed your life?
Yeah, absolutely. But I still don't see myself at that level. That Aloisi goal was the penalty was. I still remember where I was, and Lizzo here sitting on the couch with mum and jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Surreal. But I never put myself in that kind of category. I just see myself that I had a job, and the boys ran out 120 minutes, and all I did was kind of stop one penalty.
And you do mention your antics during the penalty shootout. What did you initially make of the Grey Wiggle nickname?
Oh, it's I guess part and parcel. It was probably more funny that my daughter was super into Wiggles at the time, and she's obviously referenced it a bit more than I have. But no, it's good fun. It's tongue in cheek. I was lucky enough to kind of go in and meet them and whatnot. So it was I guess cheeky, but also a cherry on top, I guess.
A fine on from that moment. How was it like being part of that World Cup squad?
Yeah, it was again surreal. You're living out your childhood dreams at a World Cup. It was in hindsight probably a little bit rushed. It was an unusual World Cup, being kind of in the middle of everyone's seasons. I look at the pre-camps and what the boys are going through at the moment. They're going to have a lot bigger lead in and a lot more time in camp. I half wish I got a bit of that at the last World Cup, but at the same time, I wouldn't change anything for the world. I mean, we had some fantastic results, and went on to the round of 16, which was phenomenal, and playing against Argentina at a World Cup was phenomenal.
What's it like watching Messi from the sidelines?
Yeah, it's like a pinch yourself moment, isn't it? But I think if I could strip that back, it's not just me watching Messi. Mum and Dad flew over as well, and they watched. And I've often referenced after that game, the game finished, we went in and Arnie gave a bit of a debrief, and then the head of security came in and said, "Look, all the friends and family still in the stands if you wanted to head out and see them." I thought we were going to go out to an empty stadium, but the whole Argentina support was still there. So I'm sitting down with Mum and Dad, and this whole Argentina section's just still in full voice, singing and chanting, and just to soak that in with Mum and Dad is, the sacrifices they kind of made for my career, and drove me here, there, and everywhere to support my career. It was quite a nice moment.
Watching that game play out, obviously 2-1, had a late chance, could have went to extra time. Obviously, you wanted the boys to win, but was there any party that hoping that sort of went to extra time? Were you going to be in the penalty shootout once again?
Oh, I can't go into that. But what ifs? But I'd done my homework in case, but
didn't play out that way.
Didn't play out that way. And, I mean, Argentina went on to win the World Cup.
That's
so
right.
the two teams we lost to were in the final, France and Argentina. So it was certainly a very successful World Cup in terms of our footballing performance. That's for sure. Yeah,
I think it was Cummings. It talks about a famous jersey swap coming from that. Did you happen to get any good jerseys from that campaign?
Yeah, I actually had a good chat with Martinez after the Argentina game. We had a quick moment at halfway, and then we actually had probably a 5-minute chat in the tunnel as well. Talking about penalty saving and antics and
he's one of the best, if not the best.
the best. Yeah. Obviously his time at Arsenal as well. We had a really nice chat, really nice moments, and managed to get his shirt as well. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Let's talk about your homecoming, your return to the Mariners this year. Did you always wanted to sort of come home for one last final year or years?
It probably never entertained my mind. But then I was, I guess, dropped at Sydney FC, and my first game being dropped was against the Mariners at Central Coast Stadium, and there was a red card, so I had to come on, and I thought I held my own. Being 10 men down, and Vuka actually planted the seed in after that game, and it took a while to come to fruition, and then ultimately got on the phone with Matty Simon and Mark Jackson, and we got the ball rolling. So
made it happen.
Yeah. So it was I don't think it was something I kind of aimed for or aspired to, but having been back home for a year now, it's something that I wish I kind of wished for, and it's been really beautiful to see my children in my kind of childhood spots and those kind of things, which has been really good. But also being back at, can't say Blue Tongue anymore. It's Central Coast Stadium, Polytech Stadium, where it's creating memories more memories where I've got so many memories. It's really nice.
When you first arrived, you were obviously a youngster at the club. Now as a return, you're one of the veteran players. What's that transition been like?
I still really enjoy getting around the young boys. I like to say young at heart. Being in this squad has certainly kept me youthful, if that makes any sense. We've got such a young squad, and we did have such a young squad this season, and it was really good to kind of help them as much as I could, impart some wisdom, or boys kind of struggling or pulling back down when they needed to, if anything. But I'm not someone that kind of leads by words that much. I'm more of by example. But at the same time, it was a really enjoyable squad and changing to be a part of this year.
Your first game back, obviously the F3 derby, unreal penalty save. Boys go up there and score. Was that the perfect return home?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved a clean sheet. First goal, I was probably a bit underdone this pre-season for reasons I probably wouldn't go into. But I missed a large chunk of pre-season, and I mean, the first goal, I probably should have held that cross with a couple more pre-season games under my belt, and then probably could have done a bit better with the long-range shot as well. I can't remember the second goal I conceded. But yeah, the way it all played out was, I mean, it was probably a precursor to what was to come. We played quite a very, I don't know how to word it, soak up pressure and that kind of style this season. And but I think that just sums up the A-League. I mean, where would you ever get that in a round one game anywhere in the world? So it was such a great advertisement for, I guess, Central Coast Mariners but the A-League in general. And I just wish more people kind of got around it.
Yeah.
We've got such a good product in the A-League, and to see where it is at the moment, it's a little bit sad. And we certainly need this shot in the arm that this World Cup's going to bring.
Throughout your career, I'm interested to know, was there any times where you sort of got offers internationally?
No, I kind of probably hit my peak at the wrong time, COVID and all that kind of jazz. I wouldn't say it's a regret of my career, but it's something I'll probably look back on and wish I did. But I mean, I'm the biggest advocate for the A-League. I'm the biggest advocate for football in Australia. So I've spent my whole life in Australia, and my whole footballing career has been in Australia in the A-League. So I'm not unhappy with how my career's panned out. So yeah, I wish I did have a chance, but at the same time, I wish I didn't in a way.
And post footy, I think you've got your degree as a teacher. Is that something you're looking forward to doing once this stops?
Yeah, I've been slowly ticking off my teaching degree. I've got a bachelor of teaching. I'm four subjects away from my masters of teaching. Working with and developing children is something that I'm really passionate about. I can't see myself going straight to a senior level of coaching. I had a small sample of coaching. I coached out at Blacktown City for 8 months, I guess, when I was in my transitional period at Sydney FC, and I really enjoyed coaching there. But and it was a young goalkeeping cohort. The senior men's keeper was only 22 at the time, so there was no one there that was kind of set in their ways. But what I got the most kind of joy out is if an under 12s kid that's never played in goals before, it's like, well, how do I catch a ball? How do I dive? And you really have to strip it back and teach the fundamentals. So that's what I enjoy teaching the most. But a teaching degree is kind of my background. But like we've alluded to, my life's kind of changed a bit over the last 5 years, and where I use that kind of teaching degree, I'm not too sure.
And kids of your own, are they shown any interest in picking up a ball?
Yeah, my son, who's only 2, he absolutely loves it. He wants to kick a ball all day. So got him a pair of gloves. I think he enjoys kicking a ball more than catching it. But there's still plenty of time there.
You took to social so that people know you're coming on. So we've got a few questions from our followers.
Yep.
The first one could be pretty straightforward. I think I could guess this one. But do you have a favourite save?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the ones that everyone kind of knows, the Peru game, penalty in Perth, a couple of other penalties which have a kind of a good backstory. There's a few in there that probably wouldn't mean anything to anyone else, but I'd have a chuckle.
Hold them close to your heart. Yeah.
A few chuckles with players around the league.
Do you ever see yourself returning to the local league here on Central Coast once your time's up? Maybe back at the Dragons for a final year?
Oh, I don't think at a top level. I think I could do it. A bit more social when I'm older. But yeah, I think once I do hang them up, then that'll be it for a few years. Yeah.
The toughest striker you've ever come up against?
I think on a regular it'd be a Jamie McLaren or a Taggart. Really smart in their movements, in their runs. Can kind of drift in and out of games, but you just know when they're going to have that one chance, it's going to be a good one. And I really kind of enjoyed testing myself against those boys. Yeah.
As a goalkeeper, you sort of can be out of the game for so long. How do you sort of stay switched on to when it's your time and it's your moment to be prepared to make that save? Is it a pretty big mental battle?
Yes and no. I think it's easier when you've got like a high workload, aka this season at Mariners. You kind of naturally you're just in the game more. Yeah. But I mean, back at Sydney FC, you kind of only got one or two things to do in a game, and you have to execute them near perfect. So I guess communication, constantly thinking about your position, sweeping the back line, being engaged in that regard, and probably the communication's the biggest one. Yeah.
Well, going back to Arsenal, I think Ramsdale come out in an interview a few years ago and says sometimes he used to get bored while playing for Arsenal because he didn't have a lot to do. Yeah. So it's just an interesting mindset of you could not be doing much for it, but when it's your moment, you need to be.
Absolutely. Yep. That's goalkeeping in a nutshell. Yeah.
Is there a best player you've ever played with over your whole career that you think?
Best player? There's so many. I thoroughly enjoyed playing with Alex Wilkinson for reasons probably more so than just his talent on the pitch. Great guy off. Ryan,
I mentioned Wilco as well.
Yeah. I mean, Simo would be up there as well. Ryan Grant, certainly up there. Luke Bratton, Caceres. But probably underrated is Aaron Moy. He was his ability on the ball was phenomenal, and it's no surprise that he went on and did the things that he did in career. But he was
Premier League player. Yeah,
he was scary talent. Yeah.
When you look back on everything you've achieved, is there one thing that you're most proud of over the years?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think I've just stayed true to myself. Gone about it my own way. I'm probably really enjoying my role with the PFA at the moment. Kind of championing their causes and fighting and making a better game for the next generation coming through, because I know that I spoke about Wilco, the battles he put in as PFA president to help grow the game and better the game and leave that in a better spot was probably second to none. And if I can do half the job that he did in that role, then I'd be pretty chuffed myself.
What are other sort of main challenges you think professional footballers in Australia are facing?
I don't think there's many challenges that professional footballers are facing in that regard, but I think there's so many governance issues that are slowly kind of eroding the game, if that makes sense. I don't want to go in too hard, but the cost for juniors to start football and then make the transition through the ranks is getting astronomical. We need to do better at kind of supporting grassroots. We need to put more money into grassroots. We need to get more engagement from the NPL clubs, grassroots clubs. We need to. I just think we've got too many parties pulling in different directions, and there's just not one clear voice or guiding voice that kind of sets the path. Everyone kind of has their opinion, and I can't even say every league. It's almost like every kind of club's got their own opinion and pull in a different direction. So I'd love that to just there be a clear, precise direction for the game in general, and
everyone get on the same page.
Absolutely, and like I said, pull in the same direction. But I mean, you can kind of zoom in a bit more, and the A-League pulls in a different direction to the APL. So if we're not doing it at the top level, then what chance have we got at the base of the pyramid? So everyone just needs to come together.
Did you think when you were obviously playing as a youngster, did you see that there was a pathway for you to play professionally? Yeah,
I kind of the A-League probably started at the perfect time for me. I mean, if I was a couple of years older, I'm not sure if I would have come, but the Mariners coming to and getting their license when I was kind of the back end of NSWIS and trying to find kind of good young talent. Would I have made it? I don't know, but it was probably just right time, right place.
For any youngsters out there that want to be a professional, maybe a goalkeeper, what advice do you have for them?
If a kid asks me on the street and I see whoever they're with and I say, well, listen to your dad and eat your vegetables, which is probably a key kind of bit of advice, but I think you just got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, if you're going to training and not enjoying it, then you're probably not going to make the top level, because you have to enjoy the hard work. You have to enjoy the tough times just as much as you enjoy the highs, because there's probably more lows than there is highs in professional sport. There's a hell of a lot of hard work and a hell of a lot of sacrifices. So you really have to enjoy the nitty gritty of it.
Well, it's been a pleasure seeing you return to the Mariners, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on. Thanks to the Central Coast community and Central Coast football for providing me with the platform when I was a kid.
Following an entire round of midweek fixtures, our WPL teams have a short turnaround heading into this weekend. Round 7 gets underway on Saturday night as we head to James Brown Oval for another night game. The Lionesses will look to pick themselves up after last weekend's loss when they host Terrigal, who look to keep their spot inside the top 4. On Sunday, our match of the round goes down on the peninsula as Umina look to get their season back on track when they host high-flying Kincumber. Umina currently only recorded the one win, which came back all the way in round one, as the Eagles will be determined to pick up all 3 points in front of a home crowd. Going down at Edzak Oval is a battle between local rivals Killarney and the Entrance. This is a first versus last place contest as the Reddies search for their first points of the 2026 seasons, but they have the toughest test possible in the unbeaten league leaders Killarney. And the final game from round 7 sees East Gosford return home following last week's emphatic win where they found the back of the net 9 times. The Rams welcome the Bulls, who have proven to be a difficult outfit to beat this season, and the home side will need to be at their very best to pick up points. In our NPL competition, we have a flurry of Saturday night fixtures in round 7 around our local grounds. Kicking us off at 6 p.m. is Arimba hosting Berkeley Vale. Also going down at the same time under the bright lights of Budgie Boy Soccer Club, we have last year's NPL League champions hosting last year's Division 1 League champions in Umina. At 7 p.m, we have another 2 fixtures. At Edzak Oval, we have our match of the round where Wyoming look to pick up the pieces after their derby loss last weekend when they hit the road to face Killarney. Only 1 point separates these 2 teams at this stage of the season, as both sides look to create some breathing space from the relegation zone. We have a huge fixture going down at James Brown Oval at the same time. Southern welcome long-term rivals Terrigal to JBO as we get to see the Lions face off against the O-Lads for the first time in 2026. And just the one Sunday fixture sees Gosford fresh off their opening win of 2026, taking a trip up north to face the mighty Camel Bulls, who will be desperate to bounce back into the winners column following 3 straight losses. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Coast Football Weekly. As always, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you next week for another episode.